I had to make this a priority to be a part of this show because it's based in my purpose for my existence, for my balance.
Thinking man.
You got the thinking, man. Yeah. You know,
Welcome to another edition of Grown Folks Business on a Thursday evening.
All right, all right. I love the new opening and all of that jazz. Lisa, I know your hairstyles vary, so that was just one of many. But welcome everyone to another edition of Grown Folks Business on a beautiful Thursday evening. A little rain this morning, but hey, it was definitely what we needed. The earth needs a little water from time to time, as we do. Want to remind you all, police your mute buttons like always, and I think tonight's topic is a good one to truly wrestle with, and it probably will end up being a multi-parter. I'm grateful to have some people in the mix and in the flow that have had experience in side of what we're talking about as adults, and done some things that I believe will bring a high value to this conversation. Um, we're talking about the future of the Black family unit. What is needed for better outcomes? This will be one of the first times where the prompt that I have, the question inside the prompt, will be the last question I ask, because there's so much else that we can get to. Who's asking questions? You will have to remove. Oh, okay, that's the commission. Sorry about that. So yeah, just police your mute buttons and we'll be good. Um, but the future of the Black family unit, what is needed for better outcomes? Again, that question will be the final question. That'll be the one that you can be thinking about as we go through this topic, this subject matter. Um, I'm not the first person, and I know it won't be the last to engage in conversation and exchanging ideas about the Black family unit. But I think we're in a good space on Grown Folks Business that we can have maybe some truly meaningful and potentially groundbreaking dialogue. And I say that seriously. I think we have some dynamic discussions in this space, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you guys may go with this. So I'm going to make sure I highlight Jay Dwayne and Lisa in this conversation because they have both participated in the most meaningful way in their adult lives of being inside of a functional Black family unit. And as Jay Dwayne has expressed in this space and been very vulnerable, and as Lisa has expressed in this space and been very vulnerable, things happen. So if there's some level of expertise you guys possess that you can impart here as we try to salvage things in that sphere, please do. But I'm grateful and thankful for you guys showing up. So let's get started. Jay Dwayne, I spoke with you a bit off air, and I kind of asked if this was something that you would be comfortable with. And I know you've expressed other sentiments in the space in terms of your personal dealings of late and what you're going through in terms of a divorce. So I want to begin with you and ask, at the base level, what does family mean to you?
Oh, family doesn't, for me, doesn't mean necessarily blood relation. It actually, to me, it means a group of people, a group of trusted individuals that are hoping to reach or desire to reach a common goal, or are personally invested in those within that network or community to reach that goal. It is a place where you can be um, completely free, naked, unashamed. Family is those individuals you think of first, and the last that you'll ever think to betray you, hurt you. You always think good thoughts of them, even when they get on your nerves. It's like you thinking something positive. So for me, family, um, getting spiritual is not the blood that runs through your veins; it's the blood that covers you because you're protected around them.
Awesome. So most of you in this space know me at a level where you probably have heard me say that I don't do friends for very long. It's, it's friends and then family, or you're just an acquaintance. So that's exactly how I feel about it, Jay. There's a level of care, and there's an exchange of appreciation that you can't quantify in those relationships. It's just there, and it's apparent, and you can rely on it. So I'll stop there because I don't want to step on anybody else's answer. Lisa, I'm coming to you. What does family mean to you? No, what? No, what you shaking your head about?
Don't do it. Y'all ain't ready. I love this topic, and man, I'm just gonna start out real funny because my thing five, my youngest child, 18 years old, she now works for our organization, and she's in somewhat of a leadership role. And we have a great big event coming up on Saturday. And so when I came in today and I said, "Hey, this wasn't done, that wasn't done, that falls on you because it's your job to make sure they do da da da." She says, "I don't want to be you. I don't want your life." She says, "Who runs a daycare 7 days a week, 24 hours a day?" She says, "Who would want to do that?" So I said, well, I have priorities. I have 4 kids to feed, and they required a bit of money. And I did not have a support system. I love that little girl. I love her because she is unapologetically her. She's like, "No, I want some balance in my life." And that doesn't seem like balance. Um, so the definition of a family unit, it technically says, mother, father, and children, right? And although I have had the pleasure and of being married to people, I told her because this is pretty serious for her because she is the healthiest of my brood. She's like, "No, I got to have some balance." So what I told her is, um, you got to inspect the fruit before you commit. I said, "I'm thankful, I'm real thankful for you, um, but I didn't know what I was signing up for because I was only thinking about me and expecting another person to bring the same level of energy, same level of commitment." And this is not a dig on another person, but it's tough. It's tough, especially to be in Black in America. Then you get booed up in the way you're supposed to get booed up. Then you create these other human beings that depend on you, yet you chose, I hate to say wrong, but it was wrong because I literally ran a 7-day, 24-hour daycare to feed 4 children that I didn't make by myself. But anyway, and then I kept doing that same thing. So um, it's a commitment. I mean, it's just a commitment. So to Jay's point, I can now appreciate my family that I don't share blood with, but that's the story of my life. So if I go way another way, my thing three, who's now the father of one, has a wife and another baby's on the way. He has, yeah, right. But he has disconnected his cell phone. He says, "Oh, I don't need to talk to y'all." Like, he's like, "I got a family. I got a family. I got a wife. I'm just gonna worry about my kids." But I'm like, "Oh gosh, so does that mean we don't exist anymore?" But the family unit is Jeremy, his wife, and his kids. And as I talked about before, as his mother, I can't wipe my name off his birth certificate, but I have to respect what his wishes are for how he wants his family unit to be. Although I think it's a little unhealthy, but I'll talk to Jesus about that. Um, it is what it is. So started out funny, I'll still end funny with Jeremy, and y'all know I got a plethora in between.
Yes, you do, and I appreciate you as always for sharing in the way that you share. So, yeah, congratulations to Jeremy. I have to shoot him a text. The panel set up just right on my end. I see the family people that have experienced it and rode the waves at the bottom, and I see the people who have yet to partake in it at the top. So, Bob, I'm coming to you next, man. What does family mean to you?
So I tend to fall pretty much with Jade Wayne in that regard. I think that family is chosen, not had, not, I think family is chosen. It's not what you're given. The exception to that, and I've said this on the show before, the exception to that is I think your children, because you chose to have them, are your family regardless. And you have an obligation as a parent to care and love and take care of best you can those children, period, end of story. That's the one decision that you can't back away from. You can't undo that. You can't exit. You can't. So, but I think, well, I'm not going to say what I was getting ready to say, but I think those are your family, period. The rest of your family are who you choose. And those that are blood aren't your family unless you choose them to be, because there's nothing there that's automatic. Family has to be trusted. Family you have to have a sense of vulnerability and a sense of peace, a sense of trust. And I think that the small crowd of people that you discover, and they may be your blood family, but they may very well not be, and most likely I'm going to say might not be, those that are the people where you feel you can float, you can rest, you can be yourself, you can trust, you feel a sense of peace. I think that's what family is.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd even tack on a bit, Bob. Sometimes you don't even choose. Sometimes it's just a natural occurrence. I mean, sometimes you're just around somebody and it's like, we just click in a way of valuing one another that it's like it gets there.
Yeah. Absolutely. They just show up.
Yep.
They just show up and you go, wow.
Yep.
How
grateful. Yeah, how grateful should you be for that? Yeah, absolutely. So Les, coming to you next. I already know how much family means to you, and Ajane, you guys are in the right place as well, because both of you guys just have wonderful relationships with your family members. So go ahead, Celeste. What does family mean to you?
Funny thing, that relationship with my mom and dad, that's some work, baby. That's some work. But for me, wow, you hang around too long, you accept me too much for all my flaws, I accept you too much for all your flaws, and you show me that, hey, you just there. Like, I have a best friend. I don't even call my best friend, I just call my sister. We met in college the first day. This girl forgot me. She left me at a party, I think my first college party, because she really didn't know me. I showed up for college sex ed at A&T, and we have been inseparable ever since. She cannot remember the first time that we met. That girl goes on vacation with me and my parents. I've been ready to take her head off. She's been ready to take my head off. She's been there for every good relationship, every bad relationship. The girl is my sister. That's family. Adrian and Justin, while I don't necessarily have like this super close relationship with them anymore, their kids are still my kids. If Vivian and Stella called me right now and said somebody was bothering them, you better believe Auntie Celeste would show up ready to swing on anybody any given time. Family is just who accepts you, who loves you, who will be there for you no matter what. Lisa turned into Auntie Lisa off of like 3 conversations, because it was in that moment where I was just like, okay, like, Auntie me, got me, tell me the truth about myself. Like, be honest with me. And what I believe family will be for the one that I create, Lisa also taught me, be careful about who you marry. I done been proposed to twice. One I laughed at. Technically 3 times. One I laughed at. One I was like, okay, let's get married. Lisa confirmed why we need to get married. And the third one, he was in a jewelry store with his mama, and I got a FaceTime call, and his mom was like, so y'all are getting married? And I was just like, this a proposal? She was like, yeah, he said y'all are getting married.
That's amazing because I ain't know that. I ain't talked to him about 3 months.
I can't believe I wasn't consulted. I'm hurt.
Funny enough, Felton, these were all like before I knew you. But for me, family will be looking at a person and being like, okay, flaws and all, we gonna try to make this work. It's understanding that who you are when I meet you, fall in love with you, marry you, and all that stuff, you're not gonna be the same. But Lisa and Jay Dwayne have very much taught me that you need to look at who that person is possibly going to turn into. You need to look at who that person is now. You need to look at their family. You need to look at where they come from. My mother always said you visit the family and you collect facts. Lisa and Jay Dwayne have very much taught me, yeah, you collect facts, but you also analyze them facts. Look at who they are. Look at their morals, their values, where they come from. Do they seek treatment for their mental health issues? Do they have boundaries with their family? Like, I'm okay with the fact we all got mental health issues, but now I need to know, do you take care of yours? And then from my own experiences, I learned about pride, morals, boundaries, mannerisms. Like, baby, you can't complain about the fact that I make more money. In my generation, money is a real big issue, but you can't complain that I make more money than you when you know that you're a teacher and you gave your brother $1,000 to pay his mortgage. Where's your boundaries? You can't complain about my income when you give yours to everybody else. Being able to stand up for yourself and create boundaries. These are things.
You're jumping ahead a little bit, but I like it. I like where you're going. No, but we're gonna get there. But no, I greatly appreciate you. You know, I value you dearly. So yeah, you gotta sift them. You gotta need them. You gotta figure out how they rock and roll. So yeah.
If Lisa don't like you, she don't let me know.
There you go. And you know, just I like to be consulted. That's all I'm saying. Okay, it's your turn. You tell us what family means to you.
Well, family, I do agree that we have two families. I believe that we have one, that you're related to by blood, by DNA, by lineage. And then you have a spiritual family. And in history, historians of the Great Migration have even talked about how we build fictive kin, right? So these, your play cousins, your play aunties, which is a very real thing for the Black experience. So um, I think that those two families play a very important role. I think that your family, that is your DNA, oftentimes those are the people that are going to be the ones to take you through the ringer. But it's really to grow you up though, and it's to prepare you to be able to fully manifest love in a way where you can suffer. And so pivoting to the second part, the family that God puts in your life, those are the building blocks that He gives to you, so that way you can have what you need to make it through. And I think together as a collective, when you have people that are thorns in the flesh, people that are coming against you, causing you to build and rebuild yourself stronger and stronger and stronger. And then you have people that are also pour into you and love you and keep you strong. I think that together, both of those things, and whichever one is your family, I think is for people to decide, but I think both of them, both sets serve a purpose. At the end of the day, I do firmly believe that your energy should go into your spiritual family. Not saying that, like, for example, for myself, I know that there are people in my family that we are blood related, and I love them, but I know that the relationship is one-sided, that I'm there to do for them. So I'm not looking for them to do for me. I know the people that God put in my life that can be there for me. And so I've learned to, as family, there are people there that are in my life to make me through the hell that they bring in my life. And so I still receive that because again, it causes me to grow up and to love on a deeper level, because love is so much bigger than all of us. And so just to pivot to the spiritual family, my spiritual family, y'all, I got one rule. Can we go to war together? Can we suffer together? if we can't do no suffering together, and when I say suffering, I mean some real, can we find out who God is making us together? When the times get tough, can we cry together and then build each other back up? When I'm not feeling like myself, will you love me enough to say, Aj, I know who you are? You know what I'm saying? And I know that you can pull through. So for me, that spiritual family, of course, good times come, but can we go through some suffering together? And just to speak briefly, and I'm sure I'm foreshadowing a little bit, when you do something like a doctorate, whew, it's something when you start asking God to, help you overcome your enemies, and you start losing friends, people that you thought were supposed to be there. But you know what? I thank God. I thank God for thank you, Celeste. I thank God, and here's why. Because if we can't go through hell together, I need to know before we really step out on the battlefield. We just in training right now. For me, where I am in my life, I'm just in training. So if you're not with it, I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset with you. Let me know now. Because if we not gonna make it through the suffering, through the spiritual warfare together, then let me just understand in my mind. And I'm not one to throw people away. But I will switch in my mind. Okay, this is not someone that I can share with. This is someone that I'm there to do what God would have me to do for them for. And so
They're an acquaintance. That's literally how I have to. I don't force anybody into any box or lane, but that's what you become because the relationship is not as profound or as deep as those that I value and cherish that much more. But
also, I
yeah,
wanted to say, Lisa, thank you for your auntie vibes. Like, you do give auntie vibes. Yeah, you
that's
do. You
family.
really do. I think I got some aunts that I don't want you to meet. Y'all might roll too hard or something. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get y'all out of jail.
That's family. So yeah, and to your other points, I think you were making eyes. I look at the places that you occupy and spend time, and what type of family or familiar relationships are built there. And that's why you have church family. That's why we have grown folks business family. That's why we have colleges and fraternities or places that you spent significant time and formed some bonds. Ajane and I had the great pleasure of spending time with some of our Eagle family the last couple days, and that's been wonderful. And that's literally bonds that can never be broken. And it's not an everyday conversation or check in even once a month sometimes, but it's understood that there was some time well spent in each other's presence. So that's a type of family. I'm going to come around the space with this next question, and I'm going to see who may allude to my answer, but I'm going to go last. So, Lisa, starting with you, why is the preservation of the Black family unit important, or is it?
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, how hard is that? Um, it's important because we matter. Because without the Black family, is as if you can't have an individual without something that supports the individual. So the preservation of it matters for the existence of our culture, of our being, of race as a social construct, but a race, right? So we have to preserve the support of it, and it's it's like the throwing away the nucleus of of an entity. So we do need to do as much as we can to encourage it and nurture it. And that is a challenge because I'm going to go with where Anjane goes. I'm spiritual, right? I'm spiritual. So I know we are fighting enemies. And, the word say it's going to rip apart families. You have brothers, sons against fathers and mothers against daughters. But somebody has to be committed to it, right? So I've shared sometimes in public, but most times in private with a couple of you, some of the dramas of being Like even a Black mom, this is why I encourage Celeste, wait a minute, darling, sweetie, wait a minute, pick and choose. Because when you have two people who are responsible for and charged with nurturing one person, if you're not on the same page, not in the same book, not in the same library, you're destroying a human being because, whatever. But that whoever values Black family, Blackness, Black people has to take the back seat. You have to take the high road because you could just go in and destroy people, and you can have good reasons, but as I even told Lily today, just because you can doesn't mean you should, and just because something hurt doesn't mean it's not right, right? And I'm gonna go back to her real quick. One of the things that was it was distressful for her. It's like, gosh, it's like it's all over the place. You're doing too much, and da, 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 da. I said, you have an inside view because of nepotism. There's a lot of people that want what I got, but they're not willing to do what I'm willing to do to get what I got. I have a level of peace. I have a level of this and that because I do have to do this, have to do that, have to. I could have destroyed her, right? I could have just went in but I owe her because she wants to be a mom, right? I owed her some time. That's why I even got on a little late to express. If you don't choose right here, you got all these other things. I'm 52 and I'm building a career at 50 freaking 2 because choices I made at 19, Celeste, Ajane, that I had to pay for 32 straight years. But I'm cool with that. That was my priority. So because it matters. So I am committed. I didn't know then. Thank you, my cousin, my brother, my friend Felton. I did not know then how valuable what I didn't even know what I was doing was when I didn't throw them busters under the bus. Yo, daddy, you shh. But my priority was them. So now I better understand that the importance of the Black family and preserving it at all cost.
Love it. On the back of my left arm is love is sacrifice, or you can say sacrifice is love. I think that's paramount as well. That's got to be a piece of that puzzle. Bob, tell us why the preservation of the Black family unit is important.
I think the preservation of the family unit is important, period. And for this question, as opposed to the last question, let me define the family unit as being parents and children, because and I could even include grandparents and great grandparents and aunts and uncles and all of that sort of thing in this question differently than in the last question, because the blood family unit is where all of us ought to get, I'll say that again, ought to get our sense of heritage, history, security. That ought to be the place that is our foundation in all ways, from which each of us as individuals can then move. We carry with us the multi-generational experiences of our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents. We don't just start afresh. We have all of that in us somehow, some way, I believe. And so we should be able to rely on that environment for our learning and growing and sustenance and security and so forth and so forth and so forth. To the extent that our family is strong enough and tied together enough, we will get those things. And to the extent that our family is not, we won't. And it will shatter and it will fall apart. And the children and the grandchildren and the great grandchildren will be the victims of all of that. And none of us should want that to be the truth. None of us should want our progeny to be the victims of that. Now, in a humane world, as children make choices, as grandchildren make choices, we marry outside of our religion, outside of our faith, outside of our tribe, outside of our color, outside of our this, outside of our that, as we build humanity. That's not where we are as a world these days. And so there's the also part, the question being Black family as opposed to just family, because there is heritage and value and culture that for this world cannot be lost. And in the world as we have it, if Black families don't care for that and nurture that and protect that all across the globe, it will get lost, especially here in the United States. And it can't be lost. It's not supposed to be lost. It's supposed to be raised up. And in a healthy world of people making healthy choices and crossing lines and blending, it's respected, not lost. In the unhealthy reality of our culture, it gets lost, and it will get lost. And that would be such a tragedy.
Well said. I wanted to, tack on something that I truly think is at the heart of that statement. You have to know your people. Ella Baker, Ajane, I'm sure get it. She was known for when Ella Baker was a great civil rights leader. And when she would meet someone, she would say, "Who your people?" That was her favorite. That's what she would say, "Who your people?" And she said that up until the time that she left the earth, as far as I know. That was the first thing she'd ask you when she met you, "Who your people?" So there's value in understanding your origin story. And to your point, preserving an attachment to that. Jada Wayne, coming to you next. And I want to really, it's going to probably be a two-parter, guys. We might have to come back to this next week because I know there's just more meat on this bone. But Jada Wayne, tell us why the preservation of the Black family unit is important.
To be honest, if it doesn't take place, the world will literally destroy. We are the creators of all. If you take that away, that's literally like taking the bees out of our ecosystem. If you take out the Black family, nothing will operate, nothing will continue to perpetuate, nothing will exist. The family unit created everything that is here today. And I don't think we talk about that enough now, talking about the sense of Black community, which is also a portion of the family. You lose history, you lose identity, you lose legacy, and you lose function of capability. And I think both of those things are very important, and they're only discussed within family units and in conversations, because when you are around like spirit, light flame, or even kinship, they will remind you of who you are, even when you don't even know who you are yourself. So you're talking about several things will just deconstruct and no longer exist.
I did not expect the shallow end answer there. I appreciate that, Jay. That was well said. I agree. Ajanae's put in the chat. Yeah, we definitely got to circle back to this one. So if you're available next week, we'll do it again. I don't want to miss the people in this space at this moment. So you guys have to confirm attendance. But I never mind doing a part 2 because I never get to all my questions anyway. Coming to you, Celeste. Why is the preservation of the Black family unit important?
It's important because, echoing what Jay Dwayne said, I mean, whether you believe the Eve theory or the out of Africa theory or not, baby, Blackness started it all. Like, that's just scientific. Honestly, it's the start of culture. I love when I'm in different ethnic groups and cultural groups, and they're talking about, oh, well, da 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 da. I'm like, you do know Black people have been doing that for literally generations, centuries. Like, I have a friend, she's Mexican, and she discovered the silk pillowcase. Y'all see this face? And then I have one friend, she was living in Europe, and Tiara was talking about how in Germany they were like, oh my gosh, have you ever heard of a silk bonnet? Da, 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 da. And Tiara said, I was just like, and I'm like, you do realize women in Africa have been tying their hair up in certain scarves because it helps protect the moisture of the hair, i.e. protecting the hair. And in America, we get called ghetto for a bonnet. Like, I'll never forget when I did my master's degree at Johns Hopkins, and whenever I would get on the camera, because we were on Zoom due to COVID, I would always take my bonnet off because during COVID, I kept the bonnet on because I wasn't going nowhere, and around Black people, I would put it back on because usually it was meetings with other organizers, friends, and they were like, oh my gosh, da 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 da. And to assimilate to white culture, they were essentially afraid to wear their bonnet in any space, even in spaces amongst Black people. The moment that I seen a white woman pop on an organizing call with a silk bonnet on and all the patterns to go with it, I was like, I don't ever want to hear anybody say anything. And Black women started that, and it's just now becoming culturally acceptable in other cultures, and hip hop and all this other stuff. And I'm like, Black people started all. To destroy the Black family, to destroy Black people as a whole, you destroy culture.
Can I say that's not acceptable, ma'am?
What?
If I catch you a bonnet out in public.
Oh no. I ain't going out in public with it. But to know that I wear a bonnet, I don't want nobody calling me ghetto or classless.
Y'all want it, Auntie Lisa? Y'all got her.
Oh no, we got it. It's fine. I'm not to wear the bonnet to Walmart, girl. That's a little too much. But if I'm in my home and you come to my door, you best.
I'm just trying to figure out, how did we get to bonnets so deeply? We're talking about the Black family unit, and we talking about bonnets. I might need a bonnet. I need some silk protection for my fro. I need some protection of my.
I know a few men that do it to protect their waist, but the reason I talk about a bonnet is because a bonnet is something that, and the do-rag is something that Black people get ridiculed for. It's something Black people get called ghetto for. It starts in the Black community, and now it's becoming socially acceptable because they're figuring out the Kardashians wear bonnets. They're figuring out that Khloe Kardashian does this XYZ. They're figuring out that certain white celebrities wear.
I gotta stop. You just said the Kardashian twice on the grown folks' business. That just don't jive here. That don't fit here, Celeste.
Look, they are mainstream, so Like you see something about one of them doing something, next thing you know, everybody in the world got to go run and get it. Like, what is it? I don't know.
That's somebody's stream. It's not mine. But no. So let's just make your final point from if you have one. What
No, my thing was my final point was out. Jay Dwayne said, if you destroy the Black family, if you destroy the Black people of the Black family and the generations that will come from us, you destroy culture, because most great cultural movements do start within the Black community. And I know you brought them up and made me realize I said it, and I know you're not gonna like it, but the most famous family in the world is the Kardashian family, and their brand is built off of being knockoff Black women.
I will not dispute the last part. There's some cultural appropriation on times 10,000 there somewhere. Ajane, coming to you, I'm thinking you would probably be the one that highlight the answer that I plan on giving, but we'll see. So, why is the preservation of the Black family unit important?
So here's something that I'm kind of gonna like build a bridge from the last question to now, because first of all, preservation of the Black family unit is important because we live in a nation where it's basically illegal to define Blackness in biological terms. And so when you have community building under that kind of contention, that's extremely dangerous. So I also want to take it back to a few points that Jay was talking about. Y'all know I'm going Genesis. The Garden of Eden was in Ethiopia. So what does that mean about who people genuinely are at their genetic core, right? So when you look at the Black family unit and why it needs to be preserved, it's because we taught the world what it means to be civilized. And this is what Jay was getting at. We taught the world what it means to be a person. We taught the world what it means to be able to cook. We taught Germanology. We taught all of these things. And I think when you look across the globe, we are the families that are under attack on every single continent. And if you free the Black family unit from being destroyed, then naturally we can build societies in which family is at the forefront of laws. Family building is at the forefront of work culture, of education, of healthcare, of medicine. And so when you talk about the family unit that is under attack the most in this country and across the globe, again, if we can alleviate some of that. And also, Felton, let me ask for permission here. Can I talk about what some of those attacks are? Or are we gonna, is that one of your questions? I don't want you to cuss me out because you know how you do.
The next question will probably give you the ability to do that.
Okay.
It's pointed enough in that direction. And that's the next question I'm going to ask. It's going to be the last question I ask because we got to be on time tonight because I don't know what happened at 8:05.
You're fine.
We lost Tanya. We lost the navigator.
So the Black family unit must be preserved because it is, just like Jay said, is absolutely at the core of not just the human population itself, but it's at the core of how the attacks are being designed to come against all families. And the purposeful separation, the purposeful poisoning via medicine, experimentation, education, all of these things that we're getting ready to get into, if we can free and preserve the family units that are under the most oppression, then again, we can go back to building societies in which family is at the forefront of every aspect. And then my final point, from a spiritual perspective, Black family units are under attack because everything good starts at the root. So the church starts with the family. And so when you talk about building community, and churches love, churches truth, right? I'm not talking about a physical structure. I'm talking about what your belief system is. Regardless of what you identify your faith as, at the core of society is the family unit. At the core of who we are as Black people is the family unit. When you fracture that, there is no community building. There's nothing we can do politically. There's nothing we can do educationally. We can't even get down to the nitty gritty of solving matters of public health, because everything that is good has to start in the home and emanate outward. And so my final point is that the Black family structure must be preserved, because if we want to preserve our identity, if we want to preserve who we are in God, if we want to preserve our communities, we must start with ourselves. We cannot be out trying to build other communities, and our home lives are absolutely a mess. There's nothing we can do in our careers. There's nothing we can do in the world if we can't do it in ourselves first, and if we cannot master loving the people that we have around us in our homes every single day.
Yeah, I'll say Black people's self-interest, Black families' self-interest is for the betterment of us all. It is actually a place that we have long avoided prioritizing, which would be for our little neck of the woods of American society's betterment. And the thing I wanted to add that I'm certain is rambling around in all of you guys' heads, and to some degree, especially Ajane as a historian, post slavery and even during slavery, but post slavery, the amount of energy, the amount of love that was expressed for family members that were not accessible, that were lost, that were freed in different places, that had long escaped the plantation and moved elsewhere. You guys, there's no phone, there's no internet, there's no way of finding people, but Black people in mass put ads in papers describing family members as best they could and begging and pleading for help and assistance and locating them.
Can I add something to that really quickly?
Ooh, girl, I was on the road.
I'm adding. No, I'm adding. I'm adding. I'm sorry.
I know, but yeah, I was on the road.
I'm adding. I'm sorry. So again, to your point, I just wanted to bring up, because I got to bring it out of the footnote, that many of those families never found their other loved ones. And so preservation of the family unit is important. Preservation of the Black family unit is important because it's mitigating trauma when we can preserve those family bonds.
Even from so long ago. I mean, who knows how often we've come across someone that had been lost so many years ago. So yeah, they well said, and I appreciate that add on. Yeah, it's that important because they expressed it in a way that we should still highlight and value today, and that's for everyone's betterment. How wonderful is it to know that despite all of the circumstances, you prioritize someone that you may have only known for a moment, a brief moment, that was your relative. Okay, so we're up against it. 10 minutes, guys. So this question, Ajane, is the one that I think you wanted to kind of get more into. We're going to revisit this next week. So we'll start with this question again to give us momentum into coming up with those better outcomes. So what are some obstacles that make family preservation hard? Ajane, you seem to have some in mind immediately, but just keep in mind the time frame. We gotta get out of here before the show shuts down. So just give us a quick and fast, and we'll come back to this question again next week. So what's some?
Sure.
Just give us some obstacles. Give us some obstacles.
The number one obstacle that I believe is facing that Black family units are facing is the fact that we don't know that our oppressors know more about us than we know about ourselves. A lack of knowledge and a lack of truth. And then when you have that lack of knowledge, you don't understand that everything around you, your entire reality, is being controlled by people who know more about you than you know about yourself. And when you wake up and you go outside and you get in your car and you drive down the street, Someone has predetermined the roadways in which you can and cannot go. And so I'm going to leave it at that, because that's the number one thing that I believe Black family units are up against: a lack of knowledge about the pervasiveness, about the effort that white supremacy has put in to make sure that the family unit is fractured at every twist and turn. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and we'll have more next week. I'm a firm believer in all things know thyself, but that thyself is not just you. It's more than just you. So you should definitely have some knowledge as a tool and as a weapon. All right, quickly coming around, Celeste. What's some obstacles? And you can just rattle off some. We're going to come back to this question next week.
Okay, Black men and women just have to get to know each other. We have to get to know each other outside of the stereotypes, outside of social media, outside of what we see on the news. Black men and Black women have to get to know each other as we are now, not what we believe our grandparents had, what we believe our grandparents were. We have to get to know each other for who we are. So I completely agree with what Ajane just said.
Beautiful. Thank you. Lisa.
Service. I think we need to value each other enough to learn to serve each other for the benefit of the whole. And I now know better that trauma makes us more self-loathing, self-indulging, self-aware. It's all about us versus the impact us have on everyone else. So I believe in service, and I believe in the consideration of the others and not just seeing my own perspective. So if we did more of that, I think we have the ability to turn the tides.
So selfishness is an obstacle. Well said, Lisa. There's another question that'll come when we get back to this next week. I think you'll get to go even further down that path of answering that. It's a loaded question, and I appreciate your answer. So yeah, there's another one that's going to tack on to it, and I look forward to hearing your answer next week. Bob, what's some obstacles that make family preservation hard?
Oh my gosh. I didn't expect you to come to me at this point in this. You know, I'm gonna defer to the second chapter next week.
That sounds good, and I appreciate you understanding the time because we lost our DJ. Jay Dwayne, tell us, man, a couple of obstacles. I know, like I said, I appreciate you being in the space and sharing. You've just been so open and honest. I value that. So you got a couple of obstacles I'm sure you can reference immediately. And we're gonna unpack this some more next week. So I look forward to that. So go ahead, Jay. You take us home.
Well, as it relates to the American Black community, the lack of understanding of the impact of racism and how many arms it has, and how it has created so many pods that we defend those things because of the lack of education about racism and what it means. That's so important to me. We don't really understand racism, so we don't understand how really wide, deep, and long it truly is. And the same thing with not understanding who we are by design. We have genderized certain things that should be in relationship. Like we have genderized femininity, we have genderized masculinity, and we don't even know the extent and why they were created and the things that they can do once they operate in coexistence and truly complement each other. So I put it under all of it under the lack of education.
Yeah, I think that's a significant. There's something that really, and I'm speaking about that broad education, not just going to get math, science, or STEM or whatever. I'm talking about understanding the human condition because you expose yourself to something in a book that you'll never see, never get to experience, but it gives you an understanding of what's at stake in the interaction, what's at stake when you actually care beyond a measure for another human being. I mean, you can find that type of enlightenment one of those little $5 romantic novels, Ain't that right, Lisa? So anyway, look, I want to really again thank you guys. We made it in here. Danya, we wish you well. We'll talk soon enough, I hope. But we missed our DJ tonight, but we still got some dancing and break dancing and all that good stuff in. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. And look, we already know what we're talking about next week. So I hope to see you all back in the space. And I want to get around again and really wrestle with this topic and idea. And there was some good stuff coming up, Lisa. You were headed in the direction that I want to go. So look forward to it. Thank you all. Y'all have a wonderful night. Take care. Be well.